Welcome back to the OHO podcast. I'm your host, Buckeye Boggs, and happy Victory Sunday as we shake off the cobwebs of a very stressful Saturday for Buckeye fans. It was a victorious Saturday, but it was a Saturday where questions have emerged nonetheless about the viability of this football team to remain with one loss through the next 5 weeks to get to Indianapolis after the Buckeyes hold on for a stressful 21-17 win at home over the Cornhuskers. Nebraska falls to 5-3 on the season. All three of their losses are against top 25 teams, which is interesting. And they hold a victory over the number 2 team in the Big 12. However, none of that matters because Ohio State should be playing head and shoulders above their opponents by this part of the season, and they are not. And so this has led to some people in Buckeye Nation feeling that stress and voicing their opinion as fans do. Fan is short for fanatic nonetheless. And so today's video, we're going to read through the comments on our Facebook page after the game. So these are the immediate comments from Ohio State fans after the game and respond to those in this video. So let's head over there. Let's share our screen here and head on over to the Facebook here and let's go ahead and start reading this one. First one is from follower Sammy Poston and member of and he's official member of the OHIO podcast, good friend of mine. Sammy says the offensive line needs fixed as soon as possible. Ryan Day needs canned. So we're just going to come in hot right off the bat. First comment, bam, there you go. The O-line definitely has some issues. There's no doubt about it. When Zen Mikowski got his first start, up until when he was injured, it didn't look good. The left side of the offensive line was absolutely struggling. Simmons was definitely, before he was injured in Oregon a couple weeks ago, was having a phenomenal season, an All-American season at left tackle. Was probably going to be a possible first-round draft pick the way he was playing. The one guy on the line who was playing the best, and he gets injured, and so Zen Mikowski gets his first official start. He's been with the program. This is his 4th year. I think he's a redshirt junior, and he looked awful, and then he gets hurt. And so the offensive line definitely needs fixed. So my prediction right now, as of this is one day after the game, they're going to kick Donovan Jackson over the left tackle. He's the veteran on this offensive line, has the most starts on this offensive line, next to Seth McLaughlin, the center who transferred from Alabama last year. And I think they're going to plug in. A number of one of a number of guys there. I think obviously Carson Hinsman, who played center last year, who was getting some run at guard this year, who I think is still the backup center, if you ask me my opinion. It's possible he could have the opportunity. However, after the Zen Mikowski injury yesterday, they actually they went with Luke Montgomery, the sophomore. So maybe it's his time to shine, but that would give us a starting offensive line if that's the case of Donovan Jackson at left tackle, Luke Montgomery at left guard, Seth McLaughlin at center, Tegra Shabola at right guard, and Josh Fryer at right tackle. Um, Austin Severveld got 2 starts at the beginning of the year at guard, but they were at when Donovan Jackson was out. Not sure why he didn't get the opportunity to jump right back in. Maybe that's a potential. If Donovan Jackson kicks the left tackle, maybe Austin Severveld can play left guard as well. So there's a couple options there, and I think Ryan Day and Chip Kelly aren't without options at this point, but definitely something that needs to be addressed. And that is a good comment, Sammy. Rick Friends, I've been on this for a while now. Beating TTUN is the only realistic goal this year. I hope I am still right. Rick, they won by 7 over Michigan State last night. And of course, they started another fight at the end of the game. They are they instigate everything. And then it's almost like they purposely take it up to the edge to get you to respond to try to get you in trouble. It's ridiculous. But anyways, I digress. Yes, if Ryan Day absolutely cannot lose that football game. He cannot lose that football game. He's already losing more fans every single. He just beat Nebraska by 4 points, and more fans are saying it's time for him to be fired. So He cannot lose that football game. He absolutely has to win the last game in November if he wants to keep his job. And a lot of people are saying he needs to get back to Indianapolis. That like he needs to get back to, and beat Oregon. You lost in Eugene by 1 point. You got to get back, redeem yourself, and get to the college football playoff, get a bye. That's the expectation here for him. If he doesn't meet that, he's a very good chance he could get fired. So we'll see. Cat Unger, the team is the team is to step up even more playing Penn State, and I know we will. We will. We really want those wins really bad. All right, Cat. The trip to Happy Valley is going to be very, very interesting. Um, that is a good football team. It's an undefeated football team, but it is Penn State, and we, for the most part, have dominated them. And it is a big noon kickoff, and Happy Valley has the same issues that Columbus, Ohio does. It is a sleepy town, sleepy college town, despite the enormous size of the venue. 12 o'clock kicks are not friendly to them, which is one of the reasons why their fan base really wants this to be a 7 o'clock kick in prime time. They want the advantage of a liquored up fan base who's going to be loud and rowdy. And at noon, you just don't get it in Happy Valley. Same as Columbus, Ohio, just to be completely honest with you. So, yeah, this is advantage Ohio State if it's at noon, and Penn State knows that. But big game, huge game. Penn State, if they can beat Ohio State, they are in the driver's seat to get to Indy with the Ducks. If Ohio State wins, we're still in control of our destiny. All right, member Jason Monk, former co-host of mine, Jason Monk, on the Shots from the Shot podcast. Need a new O line coach. Not a big Justin Fry fan, it looks like. Need a new O line coach who can at least develop these young men if that coach isn't the best recruiter. Unfortunately, we have a guy who can't recruit or develop. It sure seems like the recruiting misses, coupled with the inability to develop a handful of guys to create depth, is now catching up with this offensive line. 100%. It's an issue. It's something that obviously was not being addressed properly, and now it has caught up with us. And it is you are 100% true, Jason, in your comment. Absolutely. Brian Lee Oberst, again, good follower since the beginning. Brian says the coaches, commissioners of each league need to ask the targeted calls to go back to the way it was designed for when it first was put into the league. Okay, interesting comment. I think it was Arvell Reese that got ejected with for targeting, using his forearm to tackle or to dislodge the ball from the receiver, and it grazed the bottom of his face mask, and they called it targeting. He didn't lower his head. He didn't use the crown of his helmet. One could argue that the wide receiver was defenseless. However, if that's targeting, how in the world was the Georgia play not targeting against Marvin Harrison Jr.? And you cannot sit there and justify that. Say that one was that yes, Arvell Reese's tackle yesterday was targeting or hit, and the one in the Georgia game was not. There's absolutely no way that is possible. There is zero consistency to this rule, and it is driving fan bases and coaches and players absolutely insane. And something needs to be addressed because again, the letter of the law. The letter of the law was not followed in other instances, and it's not followed in other games that you can actually go back and watch. But because it doesn't look bad in real time, then you get away with it. It's like flopping. It's almost another. It's football's version of flopping outside the fact you're faking an injury. That is true flopping, but you get my point. It's taking away from the game. Yeah, I agree, Brian. I think the coaches and commissioners do need to go back to the NCAA and say it's time to revisit this targeting rule, and we need more clarification and a more black and white. Here's what targeting is. CJ Davis, go Bucks. Yeah, absolutely, CJ. 6 more days and we go to Happy Valley. Good friend Lee Rachel from times past there. Good to see you, Lee. I understand injuries happen, aka Simmons, but can anyone tell me why at Ohio State we cannot put a backup in who has been in the system for 4 years and he's not ready to do his job against freaking Nebraska? Tired of coaches who can recruit the 5 stars but can't win the games that matter. Find a coach who can coach up the 3 stars and get them to play out of their minds. Then see what he can do with 5 stars at his disposal. That's a great point, Lee. And again, another Justin Fry under the bus comment. There's no reason why Ohio State should not be developing two, three uh, depth pieces at the offensive line. The offensive line is such a developmental position to begin with. It's not a plug and play. There for every 10 Jeremiah Smiths, there's one Orlando Pace. What I mean by that is 10 freshmen who can walk on and be a cornerback, a safety, a wide receiver, a running back in college football. For every 10 of those, there's one that's an offensive lineman. And so it's such a developmental position, meaning that a 21, 22-year-old man is automatically going to be better than an 18, 19-year-old kid. It's just it's facts. And so you have to develop the position regardless of star ranking coming out of high school. And so I get your point, Lee, that hey, if you can find a coach who can take 3 star guys and develop them and turn them into NFL talents, imagine what he can do with 5 stars. Yes and no, because it again depends on that 5 star kid. Is he willing to be developed, or does how much ceiling is left in that kid's development? A 5 star kid and coming out of high school who's really good already. Think Larry Johnson Jr. Um, or not Larry Johnson. The lineman we just that plays for Arizona that just graduated from Ohio State a couple years ago. Um, he had a little bit of development in him, but he came in really good already. And so when you get those 5 stars, there needs to be some development, but when you get in a 3 star, there has to be development. And if you're not great at developing offensive linemen, you best be an amazing recruiter. And for just when you look at Justin Fry, he's not an amazing recruiter and he's not getting the job done in developing. It's a double whammy. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Donald Hoffer II, another longtime follower. The injury to Simmons really showed today. Yes, it did. Hopefully, after review of the tape, Mikowski can improve. I don't know how much improving he's going to be able to do. It looked like a bad injury. We'll know more on Tuesday when Ryan Day speaks with the media, but that looked like he ended up getting carted off after they walked him off the field, got him to the tent. They carted him off the field, off the sidelines. So his season might be done depending on how bad that injury is. Burke was significantly better than he was against Oregon, but still has room for improvement. He got burnt early, and thankfully that wide receiver they reversed that catch. Instead, he hit the turf and he juggled it, bobbled it, excuse me. And otherwise, that's another big pass he gave up. He's still having a little bit of trouble in coverage. I still don't trust Burke against better wide receiver talents yet, but this was a good start. It was better than Oregon 2 weeks ago, yes, but the wide receiver talent at Oregon compared to Nebraska's night and day. And so hope you would expect him to have a little bit better day against talent that's nowhere near as good as what he went up against Oregon. Sean Lewis, what was the deal? Yeah, we won. How are we going to win next week? Well, you've got to win. you've you've got to improve every asset of this team, offensively, defensively, special teams. All of it right now looks like it is less impressive than what Penn State's doing, and you got to beat them in their house. This is going to be a monumental task for this coaching staff this week, hands down. I have never been this worried about a Penn State game since the 90s when they were beating us pretty good year in and year out for a while. This is going to be an issue. This game is going to. We'll see. We'll see what the players see if they can rally around themselves. See if the coaching staff can coach them up this week. But yeah, this is going to be a tough one. Brian Lee comes back again with another comment. Defense played well enough. Need to get the offensive line issues fixed. Play calling at time was strange. Yeah, the play calling was strange yesterday. Um, there were times Chip Kelly was calling things I was going, what? Why? Why are we doing that play? Hindsight's 2020, obviously, but on the first fourth down conversion, we run right up the middle with no lead blocker. What what are we doing? At least motion a tight end in the backfield, let them be a lead blocker, some kind of, or do some kind of misdirection off of it. Nothing. It was very, very Manila at times yesterday. Richard Beck, I could go on for days. A lot of us could, Richard. Donald Wilson, same team Indiana thumped. It was, Nebraska was, but like I stated a week ago, all week long, the 56-7 win by Indiana and Bloomington over Nebraska was an anomaly. That it was not the Nebraska team I have watched play all season. And I think Indiana just caught some momentum and just it got away from Nebraska. I knew they were going to be coming into this game with their backs against the wall, and they would be coming out of the corner swinging, and they absolutely did. And they still made a lot more mistakes. And we're lucky to win this game. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So yeah, you are correct though in your statement, Donald. But again, no two games are the same. No two teams are the same from week to week. So you have to be prepared for that. Donnie Smith, the officiating has to stop with this targeting. I don't even know how you review that and uphold it. He braced and used his shoulder. It I can't with these calls. Donnie, let me tell you something. The officiating this season is the worst I have ever seen. And I've been watching football for 43 years now, and this is the worst officiating season I have witnessed in college football. It's bad. And it's not just our games, and it's not just against Ohio State. It's against our opponents. It's other games I've watched. The officiating is getting worse, not better, and I don't know why, but it's time that the NCAA approaches officiating these games on a different level. And let me tell you why. When you accepted betting into your game, you took it to another level. And because you took it to another level, you need to take your officiating to another level. Plain and simple. Vegas is not happy with the NCAA officials. That is for sure. A couple more comments. Charles Keene, one word, pathetic. If a win can be pathetic, it was yesterday's win. It was pathetic. Um, it was not what we were expecting, nor should it be what we expect as Ohio State fans. And quite frankly, it shouldn't be what those players expect from themselves. It shouldn't be what the coaches expect from them. And it was just an all around bad day for this team. This is twice now. We've come off of buys completely flat. And the first time you did it against Marshall, you had the horses to outrun them in the second half. Nebraska is a step up from that, guys, and it almost cost you. I don't know what Ryan Day does in his offseason, but it is not working, and they need to, or he does in the bye weeks. It is not working, and it needs to be addressed because it's bad, flat out bad, or as in Charles' words, pathetic. Last comment, Gary Thomas. Amazing that they won with the worst O line I've seen in Scarlet and Gray, and I have been going to watch my Buckeyes since 1965, and that was the worst offensive line play he has ever seen. I can think of one game, and it was recent, where the offensive line play was just as bad as that, if not worse. And that was in the bowl game last year against Missouri. And the excuse was they had guys out of position, they had guys playing different positions. If you remember, they had Matthews playing center. Carson Hinsman got benched that game. Hasn't started since, by the way. And it was a bad football game for the offensive line. This one looked like that. It was not pretty. It was, to steal a word that we just talked about, pathetic. Um, I was praising the offensive line, and again, Jimmy Simmons had a lot to do with that. And unfortunately, he's not coming back this season. He's done for the rest of the year. So this week is going to become a very interesting week for the Buckeyes as they prepare to go to Happy Valley to take on Penn State. Of course, we'll have all of that this week for you. We'll have previews. We'll have videos for you talking about it. We'll have the call-in show to talk about it Thursday night. So don't miss any of that. The weekend roundtables this evening in a couple hours, 8 o'clock. So head on back here to the OHIO podcast to check that out. If you're watching this and you're not watching this before Sunday night, after you watch this, go watch that one. It's a really good time we have live and with the chat. And then, of course, we hand out Buckeye leaves. We give the offense and defense letter grades. That ought to be interesting tonight. And then we're going to talk about the coaching staff and what's going on. Is it time to panic? Preview with the Nittany Blues podcast coming at you this week as we preview Ohio State and Penn State. We get in the Thursday night call-in show. Don't want to miss that. Check out the Coast to Coast show that we're doing every single week. We're going to have an Oklahoma State guy on. If you've not noticed, Oklahoma State, after starting 3-0 this season, have lost 5 consecutive Big 12 football games. And we're going to explore that. What's going on with that? What's going on in the Big 12 and the CFP? So we're going to talk about that. So a lot of great videos coming your way. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button, like this video, subscribe if you haven't done so already. It's free. It helps this channel. And then ring the bell, get notified so that you don't miss a live show or whenever we drop more content on your lap almost every single day here at the OHIO podcast. Down in the comment section, let me know what you think about these comments. Do you have the one add to it? Of course, I'd like to hear from you as well, and then we will continue to drop comment or drop content on your lap every single day this week, leading up till Saturday. All right, guys, be kind to one another. I owe someone's OH. Sing Carmen I with all your heart. OH, go Bucks.